Picture this. You open your laptop or a blank note on your phone, or you stand in front of the sink, or that one message you have been avoiding. You know exactly what you need to do. It is not rocket science. But your body does this weird thing. Your chest tightens, your fingers hover. Your mind starts quietly loading a checklist of everything that could go wrong or look stupid, and instead of starting, you just sit there. Maybe you scroll. Maybe you suddenly remember some other tiny task you absolutely must do first. On the outside, it looks like procrastination. On the inside, it feels like a freeze. And then that second voice shows up. Why are you like this? Other people just do things. What is wrong with you? What if the real problem is not laziness, and it is not that you lack discipline, but that your brain is trying a very inefficient way to keep you safe from one specific feeling? The feeling of not being good enough yet. Stay with me, because in a few minutes you are going to learn one very small, very strange 60-second move that starts to melt this freeze. And the craziest part is, you will not need to fix your perfectionism or rewrite your whole personality. You will just need to open what I call a permission window. Before we go there, I want you to notice something that probably happens almost every day. You say to yourself, today I will finally start that project. I will answer that message. I will open that course. I will clean that one corner. You genuinely mean it when you think it. You might even feel a little surge of motivation, but when the moment actually arrives, your energy is different. Instead of that clean, determined feeling, you feel this heavy mix of pressure and fog. Your brain starts projecting how much time it will take, how messy the first version will look, how you will not be able to stop once you start and you are already tired. You start hearing invisible judges in your head. They will see this. They will think it is amateur. You will look unprepared, and so without really deciding, you slide into a familiar escape. You check messages, you research more, you wait for a better time, you go make tea. On the surface, you are just delaying, but under the surface, something deeper is happening. Your nervous system is doing risk management. It has learned that starting imperfectly feels dangerous. Maybe you were praised only when you did things brilliantly. Maybe you were criticized for doing something halfway. Maybe you are the one in your friend group or family that people call the smart one, the talented one, the responsible one. When that is your role, your mind quietly builds this rule. If I show something messy, if I show something half-baked, the image cracks. So your brain tries to protect that image by blocking you from starting at all. No first version, no risk. Sounds logical to that part of you, but the cost is enormous. Every time you freeze in front of a small task, you are not just losing minutes. You are teaching your brain one more time that you cannot be trusted to start. You go to bed with this strange heaviness, not because the world fell apart, but because once again you stayed loyal to the version of you who hesitates. You begin to see yourself as someone who thinks a lot, plans a lot, but cannot get things out of their head and into reality. And that hurts because you know you are not lazy. You are tired of being stuck in potential. You are tired of seeing other people publish, ship, send, launch, while you are still polishing the idea in your mind. There is also a silent shame layer. You do not tell people, I spent 40 minutes today staring at an email and then closed it and pretended it did not exist. You just quietly carry the weight of unfinished starts. So let us do a pattern break. What if your perfectionism is not a character flaw, but an overprotective guard at the door of action? It is like a bodyguard who thinks the only way to keep you safe is by not letting you step on stage until you look flawless. And what if, instead of trying to fire this guard completely, you just need a tiny side door that opens for 60 seconds, where imperfect is not only allowed, it is the rule. That is the idea behind the permission window. The permission window is a simple mental model with 3 parts: the freeze, the window, and the lock. You already know the first part intimately. The freeze is that moment when you are about to start something and your body quietly hits the brakes. You feel a little pressure in your chest. Your breathing gets shallow. Your mind produces excuses that sound reasonable. The second part, the window, is the deliberate 60-second slot where you are allowed or even required to do the task badly on purpose. Not for an hour, not for a full session, just for 1 minute. And the third part, the lock, is the way you end that minute. You acknowledge the tiny win, decide consciously whether to continue or stop, and you tell your brain, see, we can start and nothing exploded. Let me walk you through each part so you can start using it today. First, the freeze. Imagine you are about to reply to a message that has been sitting for days. Your thumb hovers over the chat. Instead of just bullying yourself, pause for a second and catch the moment like you would catch a frame in a movie. Notice the physical details. Maybe your jaw clenches a little, your shoulders creep up towards your ears, your thoughts speed up. You might hear something like, If I answer now, I need to get it exactly right. Or, it has been so long it will be awkward. That is the freeze. Instead of thinking, I am failing again, I want you to label it. This is my guard. This is my perfectionism trying to protect me from feeling exposed. When you give it that name, you create a tiny bit of distance between you and the pattern. You are not the freeze. You are the person noticing the freeze. Right there, you already made a small psychological upgrade. You switched from autopilot to awareness. But awareness alone is not enough. This is where most people stop. They understand why they are stuck, but they still cannot move their hands. So here comes the crucial second part, the window. The window is a 60-second pocket of time where the rules of the game are completely different. For that minute, you are not allowed to be perfect. You are not even allowed to try. Your only job is to do the first ugly, rough, beginners-only version of the task. Think of it like turning down the lights in the room. It is still you, but the spotlight of judgment is off. How do you actually open this window? Next time you notice the freeze, say to yourself, out loud if you can, just 1 minute badly. That is the phrase, just 1 minute badly. Then if the task is on a screen, set a 60-second timer. If that is too much friction, just glance at the clock. The exact second does not matter. The boundary does. And for those 60 seconds, you start doing the thing in the messiest way you can tolerate. If it is a message, you type the reply as if you were talking to a close friend, not a judge. No formatting, no overthinking, no going back to fix typos. If it is a document, you write the worst draft of the first paragraph. You are allowed to write things like, I have no idea how to start this, so I am just dumping thoughts. If it is cleaning, you move only what is in arm's reach. 1 plate, 1 mug, 1 tiny pile. If it is a project, you do the smallest physical action related to it. Open the file, rename it, scribble 3 bullet points. There are 2 important rules inside the window. First, you are not allowed to evaluate what you are doing while you are doing it. Every time your brain wants to comment, this is trash, this is not real work, you gently answer with, that is fine, it is not supposed to be good, it is supposed to exist. Second, you are completely allowed to stop after the minute. In fact, you need that option to be real, or your brain will feel trapped and refuse to enter. When your mind knows, we can leave after 60 seconds if we want, it is much more willing to step into the room. And here is the strange thing you will notice if you actually try this. Half the time, when the minute is over, you will want to keep going a little longer. Why? Because the hardest part was not the work, it was crashing through the wall of perfect. Once something exists, even in a messy form, your brain relaxes. The guard has seen that the stage did not collapse, and suddenly the task feels less like a risk and more like maintenance. But sometimes you will not want to keep going. You will do your 60 seconds and still feel tired or busy. That is where the third part comes in, the lock. The lock is how you end the window in a way that rewires your self-image instead of reinforcing the old story. When the minute is done, you do 2 simple things. First, you mark the micro win. You can say quietly to yourself, I started. That is it. Not I finished, not I crushed it. Just I started. That sentence is more powerful than it sounds. You are giving your nervous system a new reference point. Sometimes, we actually do the thing even when it feels uncomfortable. Second, you decide on purpose. Do I continue for a few more minutes, or do I stop here and call this a valid win? Both answers are allowed. If you continue, you ride the momentum and get more done. If you stop, you still locked in a successful rep of starting. That rep matters more than whether the task is finished, because it trains the muscle you have been missing, the identity of someone who can enter the arena without being perfectly prepared. Over time, each 60-second window is like one new brick in a path. At first, it feels fragile. You will still have days when the freeze wins and you do not open the window at all. That is normal. But if you keep returning to this pattern, something subtle changes. You no longer believe one of the most dangerous sentences perfectionism whispers. If I cannot do it properly right now, there is no point in doing anything. Instead, your inner script becomes, I can always give it 1 minute badly. Think about what that does to the moments that used to trap you. You sit down to work and your brain says, we do not have time to really get into this. Instead of agreeing and checking out, you say, we are not getting into it. We are just opening a window. 60 seconds. If it sucks, we stop. You feel guilty about a message you have avoided. Instead of promising to write the perfect, thoughtful reply later, you open a window and write the first sloppy version right now. You are intimidated by a big creative project, a presentation, a piece of writing, anything where your identity feels on the line. Instead of planning the perfect work sprint, you open a window and create an ugly private draft that no one else needs to see. Each time you do this, you are sending two signals to your nervous system. 1. Starting is safe enough. 2. I am the kind of person who can begin small even when a part of me is scared. This is where the identity shift lives. You are not suddenly becoming someone with no standards. You are becoming someone who understands that excellence is built on many imperfect beginnings, not on one perfect first move. There is nothing broken in you because you freeze in front of tasks. Your mind is just trying to avoid the sting of not measuring up to its own image. The permission window gives that mind an off-ramp, a way to protect you that does not involve permanent paralysis. Now imagine going back to the scene at the very beginning. The blank screen, the hovering fingers, the brain making excuses. In the old pattern, that moment would end with you opening another tab and drifting away. In the upgraded pattern, here is what happens instead. You feel the tightness, you notice the guard, you name it. This is the freeze. Then you lower the bar with one simple sentence, just 1 minute badly. You open the window, you set a quick mental or real timer. You type, or write, or move, or speak something that would horrify your inner perfectionist if it were permanent. And then, when the minute is up, you lock it. You tell yourself I started. You decide, continue a little longer, or stop with a clean conscience. Either way, you have already done something radically different from your usual pattern. You have taught your brain that you do not need to feel perfectly ready in order to act. That is the real upgrade. Before you close this video in your mind, choose one specific moment from today where you usually freeze. Maybe it is that open tab with the unfinished document. Maybe it is the kitchen corner that has quietly collected clutter. Maybe it is a message or email that has been quietly shining red in your awareness. Do not promise to fix the whole thing today. Just pick it as the place where you will test your first permission window. When you get to that moment, do not wait for motivation. Do not wait to feel brave. Notice the freeze, whisper just 1 minute badly, open the window. Do the smallest, ugliest version, then lock it with, I started. If that shifts even one tiny thing in how you see yourself, share this idea with someone who is stuck in their own version of perfectionism. Sometimes the most loving thing we can offer each other is not, you can do anything, but you are allowed to start messy. And if you want more tools like this, more mental switches you can flip in a few minutes to upgrade how you live, work, and feel, you are always welcome to come back here. For now, your job is simple. Do not try to be a different person. Just open one small permission window today and let your future self meet you on the other side.